What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest and your really crappy Brooklyn Nets news. So, last few games have been very interesting for the Nets. Here it is, November 24th, and the Nets are just absolutely, I don't know, terrible. That's putting it nicely. What I've been seeing from this team is just kind of a disaster. And, you know, it needs to be fixed. Okay, so let's just take this one game at a time here, because this was really upsetting. Let's start with the Miami Heat game. Nets, after they had that abysmal road, West Coast trip, like I would have been happy if they won one of those games, but they managed to blow the game against the Suns, which they should have won. So now they go back home and they go and play the Miami Heat. A Miami Heat team with no Dwayne Wade and no Luol Deng. It was really just legitimately just Chris Bosh. And I don't know what the hell they were doing. They just never got going. It was a disaster. And oh my goodness, it was bad. It was bad. It was very bad. And they were in the game, but they never really were. And then the Heat kind of pulled away down the end, and the Heat won by 8, 83-95. And just constant turnovers, dumb execution. Once again, Joe Johnson, after he talks about the lack of ball movement, tries to do too much down the end of the game, goes one on whatever, and they blow it. It was terrible. And that's, you can't lose games against teams on your home court. Against teams that are beat up, that aren't 100% healthy, like the Heat were. The Heat just had only really Chris Bosh. And on your home court, you gotta win that. And they screwed that up. So right then and there, I'm like thinking, oh my god, well, at least I got Milwaukee Bucks, right? First, the Bucks come in, and very good competitive game, back and forth, triple overtime affair. But either way, I mean, Milwaukee tried to lose that game. Freaking Brandon Knight misses a game-winning fast break to lose the game for him and says, here you go, Nets, I blew this completely for you. Why don't you win the game? And they still couldn't win the game. And that one was just very frustrating. And what really frustrated me most was it seemed like Jason Kidd actually outcoached Lionel Hollins that game. And that bothers me a lot because I hate Jason Kidd. And I don't like that one bit. And I hate the way he called out Joe Johnson at the end of the game. He said, oh, we know it's going to you, Joe. Well, no crap, it's going to Joe Johnson. But what really gets me a little mad is that's something that the Nets need to fix. They need to fix their late game offensive execution. The Nets have not won a game by more than 7 points. Well, except for their win over the Thunder, which we'll get to later on. But I mean, but prior to that, none of their wins were by more than 7 points. I mean, by less than 7 points. Which means they're losing all the close games, which they are, because they can't execute down the stretch, because as good as Joe Johnson is, when you know he's the one who's taking the shot, it's easy to guard. And down the stretch, Kumba, or whatever that awesome guy's name is, was just locked down Joe Johnson. He was too long, too athletic. Joe Johnson couldn't get a shot off of him. And really, in that situation, I would have tried to pound the ball down to Lopez, or here's something crazy. And I know it's really crazy, especially if I'm saying it. But where's Darren Williams in this? I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm at the point where I want Darren Williams to have the ball in his hands down the stretch at the end of games. Joe Johnson, I like him sometimes, but when he doesn't have it going on, he cannot have the ball in his hands. When there's a great, long, lockdown defender like Kumba, you got to find other players. And Darren Williams could easily have a pick and roll type situation with Lopez or even with Joe. How about pick a roll with Joe Johnson? That would be a very good pick and roll, wouldn't it? I don't know why they don't try doing that. But I mean, I would rather Darren Williams have the ball in his hand down the stretch. But instead, Joe Johnson tried to go up against Kumba. I think that's his name. Kumbo. I mean, whatever. And Johnson couldn't get anything done. And then down the stretch, Brandon Knight had a redemption 3, and the Bucks just outlasted the Nets in 3 overtimes. And I mean, that's a really upsetting one. Now look, the Bucks have been shockingly good, which really gets me mad. They're 7-7 now, but at that time they went 7-5. You know, they got some good young talent. You know, Jabari Parker looked very good. I like him. He's going to be good in a year or two. But, I mean, that's still, like I said, you got to take care of your home court. And the Nets didn't do it. So here's the Nets going down the stretch. 2 games which they should have won, in my opinion, because they're better than their opponents. And they just blow that completely up. And then they go to the West Coast to play the OKC Thunder and play the Spurs. Now, they go against the Thunder, a Thunder team once again with no Durant, no Westbrook, and they only managed to win by 2, and they almost lost the game. Teletovic was fantastic in that game. Brook Lopez had 10 rebounds in that game. That was impressive. He had a good game too, Lopez. I think he had 18 and 10. Much more of a type of game you expect from him, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, he must have heard my song. Because it was like literally right after I submitted that song, he had 10 rebounds. So I'm like, nice, Brooke. That's good boy. He actually had 7 rebounds against the Bucks, which to me is a little bad. If you think you want a triple overtime game, you should have more than 7 rebounds. But whatever. I mean, look, it went down to the stretch. The Nets were actually finally able to execute. Though, I mean, great wide open shot for Reggie Jackson. He just couldn't get the 3 to fall, and the Nets hold on to win. But once again, that was a really disappointing game because, in my opinion, to only win by 2 show you how much this Nets team is really struggling right now. Because those 3 games, those were 3 games they should have won. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I said the Suns game they should have won because they're up by 20. You blow that, that's bad. You're much better than a Heat team that's hurt, and you're much better than a Milwaukee team because you're just better than them. Those are 3 wins that, to me, the Nets completely, laid a goose egg on those. Those are wins you got to have. And that's a big deal. The Nets are 5-8 right now, and if those 3 wins, they would be 8-5. Completely flipped, and they would be currently... If they were 8-5, they currently tied for the 3 seed, which is where I predicted them to be. But I mean, those are games you can't do that. You can't do that. So then the Nets go and they play the Spurs, which actually they played probably their best game in a while. Teletovic was fantastic. He is somebody I'm going to talk about a little bit later on about how great he's looked. But Lopez got schooled by Tim Duncan, and even Tim Duncan didn't play that much, and once again Lopez got benched and all that fun stuff, and that's another thing we're going to discuss. And the Nets lost to the Spurs, which was 100% predictable. The fact that they were really in that game as long as they were, and they actually cut it to 5 at one point, I think, and they only lost by 12, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Garnett didn't play, the rest of them. But, I mean, overall, though, this last 2-week span of basketball, the Nets are 1-7. And that is what destroying them. They were 4-2 going into this. Now they're 1-7. Oh, no, that's not true. They're 1-6. Excuse me. They're 1-6. They played 7 games. They're 1-6 after they went 4-2. I mean, you can't have that happening. And there's a lot of problems I see with this Nets team. The first one is they can't rebound. They can't grab a rebound for their life. I've never seen a team get out-hustled on the boards more. And a lot of that is Brook Lopez's fault. But, he's trying to do a better job. Plumlee, out of nowhere, is getting outplayed by Jerome Jordan. And you're screwed when you have Jerome Jordan playing reasonable minutes. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then, out of nowhere, Teletovic is the best player on the Nets. Both rebounding, scoring, defense. I mean, he's great. He's everything. He's the whole Nets team now. I mean, but rebounding's the biggest thing. Garnett is their only, in my opinion, good rebounder. And he's not even that good of an offensive rebounder. He's a good defensive rebounder. But that's a big thing the Nets have been getting destroyed on, is defensive rebounds. Pencil. Pencil says Nets need to work on their defensive rebounding. I think they're worst in the league in defensive rebounding. I think they average give up the most offensive rebounds a game. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I don't know that statistic off the top of my head, but I would bet money that they're at least in the top 3 in offensive rebounds allowed. They can't get a damn board. And if you can't rebound, you're not going to win games. It doesn't matter how well everything else happens for you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they keep turning the ball over. Lopez had 7 turnovers in the game against Milwaukee. I think it was the game against Milwaukee. One of the games, he had 7 turnovers. That's not going to cut it. That could actually have been the game against the Thunder. But either way, it's 7 turnovers. Follow that up with like a 3-turnover game. He's got to stop turning the ball over. He's turning the ball over more than Dwight Howard, which is a terrible, terrible thing. I mean, he's making mistakes. I mean, not just him, though. Joe Johnson's making poor passes. And Darren Williams does what he always does. He's great all game. And then down the stretch, he passes the ball to the other team. You cannot have that. You have to keep turnovers down. You have to rebound. And the Nets aren't doing either of them. And honestly, that's why they're losing. I know you can say all you want about them not executing offensively or down the stretch of games with Joe Johnson. That's why they lost 1 or 2 games. But the real reason why that they're 5-8 is because they can't rebound and they keep turning the ball over. Those things have to be fixed. The turnovers get fixed by hard work. Simple as that. Being smart, understanding the flow of the offense, understanding what the play is, and people making the right play. That, I think, Lionel Hollins can fix easily. But the rebounding, I don't know if they can get better without bringing in another player. I'm going to be honest. You look at the team, their front court. Rebounding is about your front court players. The front court of Brook Lopez, Kevin Garnett, Mirza Teletovic, Mason Plumlee, and, those are the 4 main guys. And apparently Jerome Jordan. They're all decent rebounders, minus Lopez, who's just a rebounder. They're all decent rebounders, but not one of them are great. And that's a big problem. You need a rebounding player. You need like a Reggie Evans type player. I mean, that's the one thing I miss with Reggie Evans. He was so great at rebounding. It was ridiculous. You need a player like that. You know, preferably someone who has a little bit more of a skill set than just Reggie Evans, but they need someone like that. And I've been saying, I said it 2 or 3 videos ago, Emeka Okafor is still a free agent. Why not sign him? I don't have a problem with it. He's not, I mean, he will be, look, Plumlee's worked his way out of the rotation, which is unbelievable, and Jerome Jordan has gotten his minutes. Why not bring in Emeka Okafor, a guy who's, I think, a career 9 rebound a game guy, or I think he actually averages less because he hasn't always been a starter. But he averages like over 9 rebounds a game per like 32 minutes played or something like that. Like, he's a legitimate rebounding player. He's a good defender. I think he's a perfect Lionel Hollins fit. Now, I know what he's saying, NetsBoy. Who are they getting rid of? Well, we all know Andre Kirilenko is out the door. If you read the reports, he didn't show up with the Nets. He's out the door. The Nets are looking, the Nets are looking to trade him, which, go ahead. He doesn't play, so why not trade him? I would trade him for, look, he's got a small contract. I'd trade him for a late 2nd-round draft pick. I said this before. If you remember, before they even announced that Andre Kirilenko was rumored to be being traded, I said, hey, trade Kirilenko for like a late 2nd-round draft, a late 1st-round draft pick or an early 2nd-round draft pick, and maybe a young player that you can put on the D League and not have on the active roster, and then sign Emeka Okafor to a veteran's minimum contract, and then you have a great front court. I mean, look, the Nets can't rebound. You've got to fix that. Brook Lopez is not going to be a good rebounder, okay? He, at best, can become an average rebounder, which is all I want him to do. I just want him to be an average rebounder. I want him to respectably get 7 to 10 rebounds a game. But he's never going to be a 15-rebound guy. He's not. It's not. It's not his mentality. So you've got to bring in rebounding somewhere else. Garnett is fine as a rebounder, but he needs some help. Plumlee is okay when he's not doing stupid things. And Teletovic is all right, but he doesn't have the size. You need a real size rebounder. Bring in Okafor. He's a free agent. He's not on a team, that means. I think, actually. I need to actually check that. Give me 1 second. Because, you know, I'm making a big point here. And, You know, I'm making a big point. Yeah, he's a free agent. He is a free agent. By the way, last time Okafor played, he when he was traded. No, when he played for Washington, 2012, 2013. He didn't play at all of last year? What? Okay. Apparently Okafor didn't play all of last year. I didn't know that. I know they got Gortat. I thought he was traded in that deal to the Suns. Okay, apparently Okafor never played last season, according to these stats. If anybody wants to know what happened to him or something, because I don't follow Emeka Okafor's life, so I'm just looking at his statistics, and he didn't play in 2013-2014 season. But his last season he played, he averaged 9.7 points and 8.8 rebounds in 26 minutes. There's my point. 26 minutes, averages over 8 rebounds a game. Bring him in. He's available. There's no way you can say that nobody wants him. I'm surprised he's not on a team. This is weird. I don't know. Huh. I don't know. I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. I know he was hurt. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I'm not going to dwell upon it, but that's what I would do. And you know what? Also, Jermaine O'Neal is also still out there, too. I mentioned his name is, too. All right, I'm getting carried away. I'm just shocked by that. But those are the two things the Nets need to do to fix their problems. Turnovers and rebounding. Like I said, the turnovers, they just got to start playing smarter. Lionel Hollins says he sees the progression. Okay. I'll say, okay, Lionel, we'll see what's going on. But they got to improve their rebounding, and I don't think they can do it unless they bring in another tough rebounding player. I like Emeka Okafor. He also averaged 2.5 offensive rebounds a game, Okafor, his last year. That's impressive for 26 minutes. It's about almost really like you basically expecting three offensive rebounds a game from him. Anyway, that's great. I think the Nets should do that. I think you guys could agree they need help on the boards because that's why they're losing. So, that being said, the next really 2 games before the NetsBoy episode, because the Nets don't play for a while. They play the disastrous 76ers. All right? Now, they are at 76ers. The 76ers are 0-13. If the Nets lose that game, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I was trying to think of something off the spot, what I would do. If the Nets lose, you know what? If the Nets lose that game, I am not going to be broadcasting the next NetsBoy in my NetsBoy attire. I'm just going to be my regular street clothes, my regular face, boo, and just be regular, good old me, and I'm going to do the NetsBoy episode because that means that for at least a week, I don't even want to wear a Brooklyn Nets jersey if they lose that game to the 76ers. I'm going to say it right now. So that's what I'm going to do. They lose that game, I'm not wearing my Nets shirt and hat and shirt and hat, or sunglasses for the whole episode because that's just unbelievable. They got to win that game. Got to win that game. Let's play the 76ers. Then they play the Bulls. That's going to be a very fun, tough game. So, look, they're going to lose that game to the Bulls. Even though they're at home, I believe they should be able to beat the Bulls. If Derrick Rose doesn't play, no, you know why they're going to lose to the Bulls? Because Gasol Noah's going to get every damn rebound. That's exactly what's going to happen. So, they're going to lose that game. Nets should go 1-1 the next 2 games before the next NetsBoy episode. That doesn't put them where I want them to be. This team is massively underachieving right now. It's really getting on my nerves. I guess it could be worse because they could be the Knicks, who also are massively underachieving, in my opinion. But guess what? The Knicks aren't much worse than the Nets right now, so I don't want to say too much bad about them because I don't have much bragging rights as being a Brooklyn Nets fan right now. I got like 1 game better. What is it, right? Yeah. 1 game better. Well, the Knicks are 4-10. The Nets are 5-8. The Nets haven't played as many games as the Knicks. But either way, both New York teams in and up right now. That's got to change for both teams. So the Raptors are 11-2. I guess it's not that shocking. But anyway, enough talking. This video's gone on long enough. At least Vince Carter and my Memphis Grizzlies are 12-2 as well in the West. Because Vince Carter doesn't play. He averages like 16 minutes a game. That's not Vince Carter minutes. Anyway, whatever. Season's still young, but things gotta change. So anyway, until my next episode, which will be after, probably next week. Let me say it, next week. So I'll have 2 games to discuss then. So let's see what happens. So until then, this is NetsBoy shrugging and signing off.